Hello, welcome to my cake kitchen. I'm Gladys, I love cake, and over here I make simple informative tutorials to help you navigate baking and decorating. And we are back with our hexagon cake again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we already have part 1 to 3 where I take you through the organizing and prepping, and partly the baking, and then carving the cake, crumb coating. And I've already started the process of covering this cake already. So I'm just going to take you through some of the highlights of how I achieved this and hopefully bring you along some of the process. I've already said it is my goal to kind of show you how I do this, but I am time strapped and completely working under pressure, which means the quality of value I would want to give you may be slightly short. So for that reason, I have resorted to completing the work offline, much of which I have recorded for future short series. So if you want to see how this cake is really made, the details will be captured for a short series, but some of the highlights of making the cake is on the lives, 3 of which are already up. If you wonder the details on the cake right now, this is a 10-inch hexagon carved from square cakes, and it is covered now in ganache. The cake is going to be left as a polished ganache cake. So they use, one second. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to lift the ganache plate up. Should I lift it or should I leave it? I think I'll leave it for now because we need to cover the other side of the cake. I'll leave it for now. But I wanted it so I could cut the shape of the hexagon from. Doesn't matter. That's just inner dialogue happening here, so bear with me. Now we have covered the cake in ganache here. I'm going to have to flip it aside. Dolly is here, cider is here, and lollipop. If I seem very distracted, it's because I've had a very intense morning of work and there's quite a lot to do still. So I'm kind of like here trying to engage, but also trying to think about what I am doing. So please bear with me. I am so happy with how the lines came out. There is a lot. I am so happy to you that I was able to cover the ganache tutorials, at least what you need to achieve best results. So if you want to see how I got here, some of the highlights are there for you, but most importantly, how the ganache is used. I have taught you how to make ganache, how to color it plain white. So go catch those details up. The only thing I'll probably ask you whilst we're here is, if you don't mind, consider just liking the video, just to give me a heads up and some support. I'm going to have to go get one of these hexagon things back because I need to flip the cake and then we will get to covering the other side. So bear with me whilst I go get that quickly. I don't know where I put it. I'm sure I had it some. Oh, it's here. There. So what we're going to do is spread ganache on the top of this, and then I'm going to flip it upside. I'm going to flip it. Before we flip it though, there's something I'm going to have to do quickly. Oh, okay. No. Okay. I think I don't need to. There you go. So this is just a baseboard, right? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't affect anything. It's just a baseboard. It's just helpful that it happens to be a ganache disc. Now, what we need is to lift this up. Right. Now that's the baseboard gone. And then, because we covered our cake that way down, we have a ganache board here that we need to lift so we can cover that side of the cake, because remember our cake is top forward, so both fronts and back have to be covered cleanly. Just trying to scrape the excess ganache off. There you go. Now if you're lifting this, you want to be extremely careful so you don't lose the shape you've already formed. And this tool, which is a hardware tool, comes in handy, because all I'm doing is using it to kind of move. You need something very light. Okay. Yep. It's a chocolate cake, so you also want to be careful you don't ruin what you have already done. Now, whew. If you find me like breathing, it's because I'm trying to manage the stress I feel. Can I tell you? It's a lot of work, but I am still excited to be doing it nonetheless, right? So we're getting this out, that out. Just cleaning it so we don't have any mess showing up. And I've always said, when you're making a cake like this, you want to be extremely careful. You want to be extremely careful so that the amount of ganache you use is not overwhelming on the cake. And if only I can show you, the ganache we have here is only a thinner layer just on the side of the cake, so it doesn't overwhelm the cake. But not just that, the more layers and lump, the bigger the ganache size is to the cake, the more problematic it gets for you in terms of the shape. Because then when you tower it, you want to tower it for the cakes to land on top of each other, because with the structure and dowel, the weight has to be taken on by the dowel and the structure, which is fine. But if the cake is going to be set at room temperature, remember the ganache will then come to room temperature, which means it will be soft. And so if you have layers packed into the cake, it will begin to warp the shape of the cake and cause you structure issues. So it is always important that when you're making structured cake, you are careful about the amount of buttercream or ganache you are using. And I'm so happy that the amount of ganache here is fairly relative to what I'm doing here. Now, I am trying to warm some ganache up so that I can get the consistency right. Let's see. Careful. Right, I don't want to over cream. Yeah, the consistency I want is just soft enough to kind of get on the cake, but not too much. So at this point I just need a little bit over there. Yeah, so because I am not crumb coating this now. I am just going to use the ganache to fill this out because the cake is already set. Yep. So it's going to be a one coat instead of a crumb coat and then back. There you go. As I'm doing this. Right. Okay, there. Right. Now, my next thing is to apply a sheet here. Why do I need a sheet? Because the moment you put a ganache board over this, if you put a ganache board over this and you're not careful, it will be hard to kind of take it off. But the sheet helps to serve as a barrier for when you come to taking the ganache disc off. So that's why I use the sheet. I'm going to kind of clean my ganache disc out. My morning has been a series of tasks of doing the same boring thing, washing up, tidying, wiping, and doing the same thing. But you're going to have to master the boring bits just in an attempt to get some success. Now, I already know the shape of the hexagon. So you place this, and then we are going to do the alignment. For shapes, alignment is key. So how do we align that? I'm going to start first with a spirit level. Make sure the cake is level. Yesterday I was bemoaning how my kitchen is not flat. I've tried to adjust that a little bit by propping my worktop a little bit, because this worktop is a countertop that I can move. So I've managed to work that out a little bit. But as you can see, we have a level cake here. Because the cake is going to be sitting this way, the detail on how level the cake is incredibly important. Now we know the face of the cake is fine. Next thing, this is the part where sometimes I wonder, am I a cake maker or a builder? Because then I have a right angle ruler here. That is going to help me align each side of the hexagon. Why does that matter? Because if the lines are out of sync, you're going to get a deformed cake or an ill-shaped cake. It is easier when the lines are aligned. And one way to do that, why am I using this? Now, because the right angle is set for you, it's a 90-degree angle, and we have a ganache disc there. If you set this on the 90-degree, you should be able to get the top to match easily. And how you can know that your lines are aligned is you don't have to do anything. Keep it at 90 degrees. And on that angle, I can't see it from here. From this angle, it should stand straight without a gap to the cake. If you have to move it too much, it means you have to adjust the board. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. So I'm going to move out of the way and I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. So at 90 degree right here, right, if it's standing at 90 degree, you can see that the top, there's a gap here, which means I need to move this slightly so it's in line. So now look, at 90 degrees here, I can move this easily around without any issues. And at every side, if there is friction or I have to move this, because this has to stay stable, and each time I have to move this back, it means they are not aligned and I have to adjust the top board to match the bottom and the angle. So here we are. So at 90 degree, it goes straight. And then the more lines you get, the better it works. I can see in the chat that you can understand what I'm saying. So again, here at 90 degrees, and because it's a straight line, 90 degrees is fairly easy to achieve. So there you have it, 90 degrees. If you get maybe the first 2 or 3 right, the rest should be fine. So I have already covered this in other tutorials in long form that are like detailed for you to check. I think that live also gives you some sort of reassurance on and extra information on how to achieve that. So here's what we are. Look, straight, 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 straight. There's no sort of friction or there is no maladjustment. If I can almost feel myself adjusting this too much, then it means there's misalignment. But as you can see, one line goes straight line, another straight line, another straight there, another straight there. And then another straight. So the lines are aligned now, and that's it. So with that done, because you need to make sure those lines are perfectly aligned. And then next, I'm going to use a scraper to move across. In both, remember, the scraper or the angled right angle rule has to move seamlessly. Look at how easy it is to move it around, which means there is alignment there. So there you have it. So my goal now is to go in and polish off the cake. And I think that's that. It's a man's cake. There's going to be stenciling, and then there's going to be like some wafer paper detail. So whilst I am aiming for a polished cake that has fine lines and it's very clean and crispy white, I am not aiming for complete perfection on it. I hope that kind of makes sense. So I am not deliberately going to cause texture on the cake. The ganache has set well. It has yielded me a great looking cake, which I am so grateful for. The ganache gods are on my side. I had so much fun this morning. I started this at about like 9:30 this morning, and I've been at it all morning. So yeah, let's get to work on this real quick. Let me what you probably don't see behind me is a saucepan filled with water, and it's sitting on a slow burner, as in warm water. And the reason is I need that warm water to heat up my scraper and metal tools that will come into contact with the ganache. Because if I don't do that, it's going to be hard to work with the ganache. The consistency of ganache has to be peanut butter consistency. What I did to kind of get the ganache looking as fine as you see it easily is we did if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a ganache class like in long form and in live sessions for you to go check. I give you everything you need to know so you can achieve these results I have right here. And so if you want to know how I did this, the ganache tutorials are up there. The only difference is that I followed the exact tutorial, except this morning I decided to blend the ganache by using the, what do you call it? The emulsion blender, right? Which is the hand blender. I'll show you when I'm done. And what it does is, because of the white coloring, if I just needed a small quantity of ganache, I'll just pour a little bit. You're looking about 15 mils in about 900. The total amount of ganache plus cream is about 1200, which is 1.2 kg, 1200 grams, right? And for about 15 mils, just to lighten it up, it will cover cleanly. I've tried it. It's already on the channel, you can see. Except because these are huge cakes and I need the ganache to set polished, I didn't whip it. but I also needed the white to settle without giving me texture. So the emulsion blender was very handy because then it emulsifies the mixture in a very fine way and helps to set the cleanliness we see over here. So that's the only thing I did different. So follow the exact tutorial that I taught you, and then 24 hours later, if you want to reformulate or reconstitute the ganache, put it in the microwave as I taught you, and then just bring it out to the peanut butter consistency, and then use an emulsion blender to kind of break it out for 5 minutes. And then you have such a pourable, smooth looking ganache. It's amazing. As you can see, that's the result we are looking at here. So it's a shame I couldn't film that because I just had a lot to get through this morning. I mean, 3 tiers of this cake is no joke, right? So that's why, but I can at least give you that information now so you can go try that. And the reason why the lines are still clean is because even if I scrape it bottom up, the alignment of the ganache discs means that each line goes all the way up. This goes all the way up. That goes all the way up. And all I'm left then is the angles, which I will have to come back and trim. And yep, that's it. So perhaps on the next session, if I'm able to come back, the goal will be to now trim the excess bits and clean this up and then finish the tops off. And then we have a well-polished cake. There's 42 of us in the chat, but there's only 9 likes. People, YouTube has sort of changed slightly. So most of the time I don't really mind. I mean, I know you're here for a few other reasons, but it has become so important that you communicate your support here. So this is the only time I'll ask you, if you're enjoying the tutorial and you like the details you're seeing, this is a customer cake. So you are watching me present to you an exact cake that is going out. And so, yeah, do like the video so that it is shown to people who might find some value in it. And of course, it will be a small way that you will help support the channel too. Okay, there you go. Now, a warm scraper is your perfect friend for this result. Anything else won't suffice. This is all you need. That's, like I told you, there's a saucepan of warm water on a slow burner. So there you have it. There you go. So there you go. Right. Part of cake decorating is knowing when to stop. And at this point, I need to just stop. So far, we've done everything we need to do. And I need to just leave it alone, okay? Because anything else will just ruin and warp the cake, all right? So there you go. What do you think? Can you imagine going to cover this in fondant? No. I cannot imagine, except I know we're not making a fondant cake, so easy. If we were making a fondant cake, my head will hurt, okay? My head will hurt. We have 2 more to go, so let's go get the other. Let me just wipe up first. I told you my morning has been a repetition of thankless tasks, like cleaning, wiping, doing the same thing over and over, and aiming for some great results. That's my morning. How's your morning been? So let's get in here. Jelly Jam says beautiful. Thank you, Jelly Jams. You are very kind. Let's wipe up. Okay. Okay. All right. Just like, who cares about a Ganache disc wiped down? Well, me, right? See, that's the problem with Ganache sometimes. I've stuck my finger in it. Let's cover that quickly. It's annoying. Okay, there you go. I think after we finish this tutorial, as in when I finish this cake, which has overwhelmed me all week, I'm gonna have to come back and sit through everything I've missed in the chat so that we can catch up properly. But there we are. This is the 10-inch gone, and if you wonder what the cake is going to look like, it's going to be set up this way instead of this way. It's going to be set up. Let's not tempt fate, shall we? I'm gonna just put it in the fridge and then get the other one out. So I'll see you shortly. Okay, there's more cake. There is more cake, and there it is for you. So first, let's get ourselves a knife. This is why I did, honestly, this was one of the times that I did really wonder if I wanted to come on a live, because it's a repetition of the same boring thing, like moving the cakes, coming back. But anyway, I guess today the value here is that you get to see me do the thing. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Let's make sure we have water. Okay. Right. So I am just cutting off any excess because this is a little cake. Right. Just as we did before, we are going to polish these off. Leave the clean lines. And then flip this cake over. Right. There you go. But before we flip it over, I'm going to align so it doesn't shift. Right? So we're going to set this over, and we're just going to flip it over there, and then okay, that is gone. Now we have the ganache disc we need to move. Again, you need something very fine. Okay. Well, the good thing is that I turned this upside down earlier, so you can see the inside is already crumb coated, but we still need the same thing we did. So it's off now. But you see the card, the paper here, it's almost edging on the outside. I need to cut it out slightly so that it's in the cake instead of on the side. I've already explained why that is necessary. Okay, so I'm folding it. I'm just going to cut a little bit so that it stays within the cake instead of flopping over. Now I need me, where is my scissors? Okay, so there's really no measure to this, just trying to cut a little bit out so that it stays, and it doesn't have to be exact shape. Right, there you go. Right, just so that it stays within. And the reason I need that is because when I put the ganache disc and I come to take the ganache disc off, I need to be able to take it out easily without deforming the cake. And so the greaseproof paper is a good option to use. Some people sometimes wrap the ganache disc itself in some sort of plastic. That hasn't worked always for me, so there you go. Because the cake has already been crumb coated, my goal is not to add too much ganache, it's more to cover. So I am spreading and then taking the excess off, as you can see. Right, there you go. The excess is gone. You look for the sizing of the paper, you place it in there nicely, and then you attach the ganache disc, which I have here, but it's messy, so I'm going to run some hot water over that to clear it off and then use it. There you go. So now I've got to, the ganache disc has instructions to tell you which side goes up. So there it goes, it's gone in. And we're going to repeat the same thing. We're going to make the alignment by using the right angle rule again. Right, so again, that's line 1, line 2, okay. Let's make sure we've got that line work. Okay, line 1. Okay, this needs to go a little bit, yep. Line 2. Okay, line 3, line 4, line 5. I'll come and readjust that again. Okay. Okay. There you go. Okay. Okay. Right. Let's get our scraper. We need the scraper to do exactly the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So you see, we've aligned it. But because the cake is already polished and done, there's not much I'm going to do with this. I am just going to warm the scraper up and try and fill any gaps that are on the surface, and that will be done. And that will be cake number 2, all done. Right. There you go. Okay. 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 It's funny how many tools I have here that I bought from the hardware store, like this trowel looking thing. I got it from the hardware store, and it comes in so handy. There you go. If you see your favorite creator and they're making a cake and their scraper looks all polished and fine, remember they're just doing a demonstration. They are not doing the real thing, because if you're doing the real thing, your scraper won't be clean. You will have to wash it a few times. It has to be presented right. So here is an inside tip. If you're watching your favorite creators and they're showing you a demonstration and you look at the scraper and it's fine, it simply means they are set up for the camera instead of actually just doing the thing. So probably they've done the testing already, and what they're doing is just demonstrating it for you. So it's more about visuals and how appealing it is in terms of appearance. Because if you're doing the thing, there is no way your scraper is going to look clean. You have to keep washing the scraper. You have to keep coming back to it. It's crazy. Okay, that's enough. Okay, let's wipe this with some. Tapeta, how is Thanksgiving going? My American audience, let's just get these cakes done, yeah? And then I'll come and talk to you properly. I know it's Thanksgiving today for most of you. And the morning has just started for some of you. I have been here since 9:30 this morning. Okay. There you go. There you go. So, somebody said, you know what, at some point I wanted to kind of outdo myself. I thought, instead of setting the cake up this way, because this is the line that is going to be facing forward, so it's going to be looking like this, sort of. This is little, so I can't, okay? Can you see the ganache disc is shifting? got to align it back again. But you get the point. At some point I thought, why don't we go for the diamond shape? I'm like, Glad, don't do that. Because for me to get the diamond shape, I have to make sure that this part is solid. And instead of using ganache, I'm going to have to use candy melts as the base and then just cover it slightly with ganache so that the angle is solid and doesn't break. So I thought, ugh, I wanted to do that. But you know what? I've already had a stressful week. Between everything I have going on in my life and in my head, Gladys, just don't make life a little bit harder than it really is, okay? So we are just going to keep it that way, as it should be. There you are. So this is going back in the fridge. And then we'll get the other one together. I'm going to go put that away and then I'll bring the other one out. We are back with the last of the lot, and that's the third one. So we'll need to flip this over again. Except everything is messy. Okay. Instead of flipping it, what I'm going to do is just lift it over first. Okay, we'll move it, but in so doing I have torn that, so let's rip the plastic off and then get some ganache on the top so we can flip this over. This is little so I can flip it easily. There you go. It's flipped. And then I'm going to wash my hands, tidy up before we do anything, because if I don't do that, this session is going to be messy and that's going to be a little hard. Right, I am so glad, you know what, you guys have found each other in the chat, because it bugs me when I'm just having to focus on what I'm doing. But I know you guys understand. So yeah, I am so happy you have each other and you can catch up on things and talk to each other whilst I just like slumber away over here. Except I'm hardly slumbering, am I? I'm like slowly going crazy talking to myself in my kitchen. Oh, I'm laboring myself away. God, English is not my first language. Okay, there you go. The top is clear now. What else do I need to do? Whew. Okay. Right. Now let's get the Okay, I think I've gotten everything I need. Woo. Okay, I haven't gotten this yet. Okay, got it. Okay, I've got it now. So let's do it all over again and get the ganache disc. Okay. This is the vanilla sponge. So, yep, got it out. Look at our sponge cake. You want to be able to take it out cleanly so you don't dig the cake out, and I've done that. Right, that's all done now. We go back to doing the same thing again. Look at the ganache. It's a lot. Got. Oh. Okay. I could do with reformulating this ganache, but at this point, it is what it is. So let's make it work. I'm spreading. And then taking the excess off. Spread and take the excess. Spread. You want to make sure you can do this also so that it will prevent having to come back and polish the surface, which is why I'm just spreading and covering. Again, another sheet in here. Before the ganache disc goes over. Oh, need to wash my hands. Okay. Okay. Right. So we go back to aligning again. Same boring thing. Okay. Okay, darling, that goes there, aligned here. Okay, that goes. Okay. 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 And then we have that. We have this. Okay. It's aligned now. Or at least I hope. We need to make sure we reinforce the alignment by using a scraper to get that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, there you go. It's aligned. Again, same tasks. We will fill that, clean it out. Okay, all done. So we're gonna go fill the top. Whew. I don't think I am as stressed anymore, but there's still quite a bit to do, because then I have to come back and take all the ganache discs off and polish each individual cake. Okay, right, just go back in and fill the other sides, but we have clean lines. Okay. There you go. Okay, there you go. All right. There you go. Can you see clean lines? I can. They need a bit of polishing off. But yeah, I can see some clean lines on here. Can you? If you can see clean lines, let me know in the chat. Yeah, a little bit of polishing. The polishing will be done. 1 second. The polishing will be done because right now everything is a mess. What I need is clean tools and a clean surface and a sort of settled mind, and also when the cake is completely set on the surface, because then when I go in with a clean scraper, I am cleaning off any of the textures and bits on it. Yep. And then we can then cut off the little portions to get rid of the hanger bits. And then we'll have a polished cake. So yeah, I agree, a bit of polishing, but we are onto the nearly finishing this part of the process. But we're not done just yet, because now that the cake has to chill, we'll have to come back and polish it and all of that. I'm not going to do that online today. That will be some parts that you will have to see later. So I'm going to go put this in the fridge so that it will start setting. Oh, Daddy Livingston, thank you. You're so welcome. Let me just put this in the fridge, and then I can come back and hang out with you for a moment before I have to go. Just let me put this away. Always best to have more ganache than less. There you go. I made 4 lots of this. So we're looking at nearly, for every tab of this, it's 1200 grams, if you like. And so 1200. So we're looking at a little over 4.5 kilos. Or, I mean, if you add the 1.2 kilos of ganache, that is 900 grams of ganache plus the cream and everything else. So 1.2, I had 4 of that. So that will be 4.8 kgs. So 4.8 kilograms of ganache. And I have a full one left and a little bit left over here. So let's just say in total, maybe about 3.4 kilograms of ganache have covered the 3 cakes. And there you have it. Because of the coloring of the ganache, you want to make sure that all your ganache are set in the same tone. And so it is incredibly important to have more of the same ganache than less, so that you have to remake them. Because if you have less and you remake them and you don't blend the color well, it's going to be problematic. Plus, I have to make my ganache 24 hours before I use it. So if I don't have more and I end up ganache runs out in the middle of my task, that's going to be a disaster that will have me feeling a little bit crazy. So no, yeah, so I'm happy to have my ganache reserved, and the leftover over cakes, right? The cake scraps. Did I tell you that I told you? Did I tell you? I don't know. Yesterday, before we came back for the crumb coat, the school kids were done with school. So what I did was I stood outside and Albert came by. He was skipping. He was happy. That boy is the highlight of my busy working day. I stand in my window, and I think my neighbors know now that I'm on YouTube. So when they are passing, they see the lights in my kitchen, and my kitchen window faces the community area and the walkway. There's a pavement. So they pass by and they see me. And if you don't know Albert is my neighbor's son. He's 5. He's a 5-year-old little guy. And if you've been here a little while, you know Albert is the invisible fixture. Most people who feature on my channel are invisible. You know them, but you don't know who they are, because they are not part of this life, but they are an extension of me, if you like. So Albert is our 5-year-old neighbor's son, who his mom is my friend and a neighbor. And Albert just loves, like, every morning Albert is going, when he sees me on his bike, he jumps down and he runs, he gives me a high five. Children love cakes, but I think it's not because of the cake. Albert just loves my company. I don't know, whatever that is. So Albert was coming past on his bike, and I whispered to his dad with the sign, like, can he have cake? And his dad said, of course, because you will always find cake in my house, okay? And I think sometimes the parents, you never know the choices they are making around your children, whether they're trying to be healthy, limit sugar. So whilst I am exuberant and excited to share cakes, I am also wary from the parents' point of view. So the last time I gave Albert cakes, I deferred giving him any more because then I didn't want it to be too much. I still wanted it to be a treat for him. So I kind of signed to his dad, can he have cake? And his dad was like, of course. So I brought the big bowl of cake scraps out and I gave him a plate. I'm like, help yourself. And boy was literally digging in. So I gave him enough to go and share at home. And once he was gone, another little kid, another neighbor, I haven't spoken to them before, but I see them all the time. So a little kid was passing by. That was just after Albert had left. And I thought, oh, it would just be annoying if I was that kid and one kid just gets like chocolate cake and goes away, and then I just have to be the guy who just walks past and then cake person looks at me, right? So I thought about the little guy who comes after Albert, and I was like, gentleman, do you want some cake? He looks at his mom and he shakes his head, I want some cake. So I asked his mom, do you mind? She's like, no, not of course. Like she would want, you know. So I gave him to a disposable plate, helped himself to chunks of cake. I'm like, go share with whoever you care about and have a good time. So my neighbor's kids are happy because I give them cake. That's all. That's just excess cakes. But otherwise, yeah, it's 2:30 and we are still like covering our cakes in ganache. You know, I know the neighbors, you know what, my neighbors are lovely. Some of them. The ones who eat cakes for me are good, okay? I've said that before. I've said that over here. That I have very... Why am I whispering? Because if they're watching, they'll see it. Okay? There's a video of me on here and my neighbor that I managed to get to eat a cake whilst I was blabbing on so excitedly, right? So yeah, I still have scrap cakes to go and I've got this lot of cake to do. How did we get here? I need to clear up. You know what, people? I want to stand here and talk to you, but the amount of work that I have to do is doing my head in already. So you know what we're going to do, people? Let's sign off. Let me clean up, tidy up, take the progress shots, and then come back. When I come back, we are going to look at the structure and how we are going to secure the structure for the cake setting up process. Yeah, let's do that. Lollipop is building drawers. Okay, that's fair. For all of you new people who are here, please forgive me. I guess I will keep apologizing all week for my non-interactive self in the chat. That's simply because the amount of work I have is just a lot and it takes my focus and attention. But I still want to hang out with you and show you highlights of the process, much of which I have filmed to produce some shorts videos for your convenience. So stick around. If you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing. Our channel is dedicated to all things beginner friendly. Even the mammoth cakes you see, the process is broken down and I show you the raw moments that I am failing and still trying to play catch up, the moments where we have to fix our cake failures, and sometimes the chaos, and even sometimes the way I feel. Just because I love my job and I love my cakes doesn't mean I always feel like it. Like on Tuesday, we started the lives on Tuesday, and Tuesday I was here. Tuesday I was panicked. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh God, can I? And then yesterday came and I felt like I had a hang of it. And then here we are today, you know. I have some, I don't want to make this, I don't want to make this about me, but I also have some personal stresses that are like eating me up a little bit. But hopefully let's get this cake done and let's start the December season, okay? And then maybe, just maybe, that's just because if you've been here, look, I'm just talking to myself now, okay? If you've been here, you will know that as much as I love you and I talk to you and we have fun, I try to make this a very safe space for all of us, and also keep the space a happy place, more so for me, okay? Because my life is heavy. My life is heavy. Like people, when I tell you that some days I have to go sit in the grass, it's because I am lucky and privileged enough to have people in my life that if I have like trouble or something happening in my life, I can go and sit with them, as in call a friend, speak to family. So I don't really find the need to sometimes come and dump like emotionally on the internet. But when I tell you, the last couple of weeks have been incredibly heavy and draining and difficult. I don't know how I managed to show up here, but I think I know why. It's because here feels so safe for me, and here is such a happy place for me. So yeah, a little bit of an update. Like I have some personal things happening, and it is catching up and getting on top of me. But let's focus on the good side. The good side is that we have life, we are okay, and the boy is fine, which is my son, and I still get to come to here to show up here where nearly 10,000 people that I would otherwise not meet are here, like cheering me and supporting me. It's a blessing that is like none other. And in moments of strife and uncertainty, one can only focus on the blessings that you have, that it's undeserving. So for those of you who are enjoying Thanksgiving, I hope you have a lot to be thankful and grateful for. Okay, I hope you do. And I said yesterday that even when the moment doesn't feel like an answered prayer, you are still alive. That in itself is answered prayer. Because you know what? There's hope for another day when you wake up and you have breath. Sometimes it doesn't feel like you want the breath, because you're like, can I be done with this life? We all feel it, people. We do. Right? But having breath in the morning and health means there is hope to press the reset button and try again. And it takes will, and it takes strength, and it takes resilience. So from one person to another, I hope you have a lot to be grateful and thankful for, while still holding up hope for better days to come. All right? So cheer up, get on with it, and I'll see you on the next one when we come back with the structure. Check the live post though, as in the community post, for the live behind the scenes updates. I'll be happy to post some photos, and I will see you real soon. Take care.